My name is John Patterson. I retired from the Navy as a commander. So I put 22 years total in the Navy, active and reserve time. But for the past 16 years, I've been a Department of Defense civilian employee. The group is called Employer Support of the Guard and Reserve, for short ESGR, or Echo Sierra Golf Romeo in Navy terminology. We have an outreach mission with employers as well as service members. Think of employers and service and the service members as a team. Mm-hmm. If a service member who is in the National Guard or Reserve status has a military obligation, and so our job is outreach to deal with the military units to which they belong and the employers for which they work. So think of the employers and the military units as two pieces of bread, the National Guard Reserve members as the peanut butter in the sandwich. And our outreach mission is to educate both the employers and their military units that when they're called up, they have the right to return to their jobs, civilian jobs. Federal law protects them. Now, if you're strictly in the National Guard, state laws provide that same coverage. There are exceptions, of course. For example, you have to be a civilian employee, and you have to give prior notice that you're going to be activated, though it's happened to me on occasion where it's not practical. And you can spend no more than 5 years continuously on active duty, with exceptions. You have to come back with a good discharge. You have a bad conduct discharge, all bets are off. And when you do return, you have to return to your job and give notice to return within a certain amount of time. Now, if medical restrictions prevent you from coming back, you have to communicate that, that return to work job can be actually suspended. So education, employers, and the military units, it sometimes creates problems. And they also have another role called ombudsman, and I've been very fortunate to be twice named on the National Ombudsman Subcommittee. And in 2006, I was the National Ombudsman of the Year. What we do is informal mediation between employers and the employees, National Guard Reserve members, over the terms of their being allowed to go or not. And once, generally speaking, when the employers learn about the federal law, there's no problem, with exceptions. I've had to testify in federal court on occasion, once, first time ever for ESGR, that was interesting, about a situation where the National Guard member was being fired for a military service, and she wound up getting her job back. This is all public now because it was published in the Seattle newspaper years ago. And she received about $500,000 for her trouble, and also her employer had to pay her legal fees, which are almost $500,000 as well. And another military job I have, I was appointed by the Secretary of the Navy last spring to the SECNAV's Retiree Council. 11 Marines, 11 are retired naval folks, combination officer and enlisted, where we write position papers for the Secretary of the Navy. They put us on active duty. And this all happened because years ago, knowing that there's a Navy Retired Activity Office near where I live, I decided I'd go there. It's 1 day a week, 3 or 4 hours, talk to various military people, retirees, and their dependents on different problems. And the person running it was a retired E9 who said, I'm going to put your name in to be on the retiree council. I forgot about it. All of a sudden last April I got a surprise phone call. You're going to get a letter from the Secretary of the Navy and you're going back on active duty. I Googled the phone number to make sure it was not a prank, because sailors will pull pranks on one another. So went on active duty last month, and it's a 3-year term, 2 more years to go, and they brought us everybody back for a week. But it's funny because when you're in active duty, looking at me and my age, I said when I went on the airline flight to Washington, D.C., here's my active duty order papers, I don't have to pay for a suitcase. They were looking at me like, you're nuts. I said, go ahead and read. Oh, okay. So anyway, so I'm actually in 2 Navy activities now, the Retiree Council and the Employer Support of the Guard and Reserve. The lessons from the military is you learn to grow up, you learn to depend on other people, but to be self-reliant. Don't take things on face value. You need to have a sense of humor when you're talking with a very structured environment like the military is. keep a wide vision on how to do different things, what the options are. If I do this, this will happen. If I do that, the wrong thing will happen. Make good decisions, and don't forget to take other people into your counsel rather than be a dictator. Final thought I would like to express is we're all getting older. The ESGR organization, when I joined back in 2003, had roughly 4,500 members. Today it's about 1,500. Veterans organizations throughout the country are losing people because of age, and the younger ones are not stepping up. So there's a lot of volunteer activities. Even though the volunteer activities I do, for the expenses I incur, they're all paid. The active duty is paid with the retiree council. But the retirees, I think, and even civilians who haven't been in the military have opportunities to sign on, like with ESGR, for example, to see what value military people can bring to the civilian community employers. The skills can be transferred. All the reserve and National Guard training they get on active duty, they can bring back, and the skills translate to their civilian employers as a cross benefit. But we need volunteers to understand that. We need more people to volunteer with the organizations. So the idea of service is paramount, and I get satisfaction just from having helped somebody out. That's the whole thing. So it's the idea of service above self.